What is up, Hellblazers out there? Welcome to an HBO Max Constantine series update slash what we know so far. And I wanted to make this video because also recently we've got some significant news about the Constantine series with regards to eyeing a certain casting, series filming, and other various projects going on just with this whole thing leading up to this Justice League Dark eventual crossover, which has been kind of scarce of news since January 2020, I want to say. There's been dribs and drabs here and there, but only now are things really starting to ramp up. So if you're interested in Constantine and you're interested in whatever the heck is going on with the Justice League Dark projects over at HBO Max, led by Bad Robot / JJ Abrams, I'm also going to give a little tidbit of the Zatanna film production and what's going on there in this video. Do subscribe to this channel for any and all updates, news, breakdowns, and eventually reviews when it comes to these series and whatever else releasing. So at the beginning, right now, I'm going to get into a little bit of a recap just for those who don't know what the heck is going on. So way back in January now, 2020 that is, it was announced that JJ Abrams and his production company Bad Robot were working not only on a series of shows, but also movies surrounding Justice League Dark. Now this is all a part of the various different projects that Bad Robot was producing as a part of that overall deal that was reported with Warner Media. And that reminds me, since we cover a lot of Batman here as well, to any Bat fans watching this, we can't forget that JJ Abrams is working with Matt Reeves to also executive produce and form the animated series Batman Caped Crusader, coming to HBO Max. So, you know, there's quite a few fingers dipped in several different projects over at HBO Max from Bad Robot. So it does seem as though those Justice League Dark projects are cooking, slowly but surely. And this is all expected to build towards, you know, as what I mentioned earlier, some sort of crossover, whether it's from like a Zatanna movie or this Constantine series. At some point it will be leading up to that Justice League Dark collaboration. And side note, with regards to what I teased earlier with Zatanna, according to recent leaks, even though this is very rumory, and please take it with a huge grain of salt, according to those leaks and rumors, apparently Victoria Pedretti would be the main choice to be Zatanna, with Olivia Wilde being the director. Maybe just bookmark it in your minds just in case. But apparently Emerald Fennell is writing the script as well. This is also, and this is what has been reported previously, that JJ Abrams is also working and producing a Madame X series for HBO Max with executive producer and writer Angela Robinson. So you can see that despite the leaks and rumors with the Zatanna film and casting, that is a huge grain of salt. We don't know truly what's going on there. Even with the Madame X stuff being in the works and in development, and obviously the Constantine series being very much so a thing in development, this Justice League Dark stuff is very much so kicking off now. But back to the Constantine series, according to a report from the Illuminati, the upcoming Constantine series would be under the working title when filming Chimney, which is, you know, what they do with working titles to kind of maintain some kind of secrecy on the production, similar to like Batman being called Vengeance when filming, even though that was kind of obvious. And the Constantine series under the working title Chimney is looking to start production this fall, to be wrapped by early next year. Around about February time is the expected, you know, finish to production. And it is aiming, obviously, with finishing production around February to release that same year, obviously much later, depending on how long the post-production takes. And supposedly the filming will indeed, well, this one's kind of obvious, be taking place in the UK, but also Morocco. HBO Max's Constantine is also being executive produced by Rachel Rush Rich. I hope I didn't butcher that name, but she's worked on Lovecraft Country, but also Castle Rock. And we also have Ben Stevenson executive producing from Lizzie's Story and also Lovecraft Country. Also, reportedly, we have Guy Bolton writing the series while also getting a producing credit. Now, this one's pretty solid because if you go over to the United Agents website and on his profile, you can see the projects that he has in development. And you can clearly see Constantine there under Bad Robot and HBO Max. Now, I believe sometime around 2021, because I think this was my last Constantine update video, and this was quite a while ago, it was announced with regards to the casting for Constantine that there would be some kind of race swapping going on. Now, before we get into the actor that they're looking at for the role, we also have some very, very recent casting calls and their descriptions that have been underway for roles with fake names, which, as you guys know, they use these fake names, so it doesn't exactly give away the characters that they're casting, such as what you're seeing on screen now as Akara, and you can see how this character Akara sounds like she could be Astra or Astrid from the source material. This makes sense, especially when we're about to read out the kind of logline synopsis of the show and how early this is in John Constantine's career. If this is indeed Astra, which I do feel like, personally, this is pretty obvious, that involves this somewhat tragic story that pretty much haunts John Constantine with regards to this girl he's trying to save. She ends up getting dragged into hell. We've seen this in the previous Matt Ryan Constantine live-action adaptation. He basically tries to defeat this demon, but it kind of blows back in his face, and as a result, the girl gets taken. And to me, just based off of that casting call, it's nice to know that we'll be getting into some of the guilt that John Constantine has, how this influences the character from there on out, from this young age, and as he forms into the character he does indeed later become as the powerful warlock. And I especially think that could be happening given that the character description talks about the female, 10 years old, of Cambodian heritage, would be the emotional heart of this story. Which is why now I want to pair it with the series synopsis, which we get from Night's Edge Media, and it says that the series blends urban action, body horror, and the supernatural on the streets of modern day London. It follows a young man whose entire world is upended when a chance encounter with a young girl pulls him into the dark and treacherous world of the occult. So given that synopsis, I think we can all agree this is very much so seemingly a bit of an origin tale for John Constantine, who's probably a complete noob into this world. So instead of visiting a Constantine who has somewhat of a savvy knowledge of the occult in his warlock days, here it seems that the audience could be going along this journey of his induction into this knowledge with him, and just, you know, going through what I just aforementioned with the loss of Astrid, potentially. But, you know, that now makes me think, just with a bit of off-the-cuff speculation here, such as this big moment happening maybe in the series finale, even though this seems kind of fairly predictable, but what if it does all lead up to that point where in the series finale he loses the girl as she's dragged into hell. But again, that could happen much earlier on, and he has to deal with that and the repercussions. But you can see now maybe how the series and seasons, should I say, will develop one after the other after this very defining moment in John Constantine's life, with this 10-year-old casting call of Akara, but probably Astrid. Now, as for the actual casting of Constantine, finally, let's get to that. As I said, in 2021, it was pretty, you know, public news at that point that they were looking to swap the race of the character, and this report comes very recently from Illuminati, who's had pretty solid, the reason why I keep referencing them, they've had pretty solid scoops with regards to this, and it just kind of keeps working out, and these different article websites like Night's Edge Media, you know, are collaborating with each other as well in certain ways. It does seem of quite a bit of substance. I'm not saying that this is the final casting, but it looks like they are very much so circling and honing in on their actor of choice. Now, according to our sources, Warner Brothers is circling Sope Dirisu to play John Constantine in the new HBO Max series. Sope Dirisu is an exciting possibility, with the British-Nigerian actor having experience in film, television, and on stage. With this series focusing on horror and the warlock often finding himself embroiled in supernatural mysteries, Sope Dirisu could be the perfect actor to take on this beloved role. With experience in horror from the film His House and action with the British film crime drama series Gangs of London. Now, as for my thoughts on this potential casting, and you know, it seems that they are eyeing him up for the role. I have seen Gangs of London, and I think Sope Dirisu he was pretty damn good in that. He is very British, like he's definitely got that British aspect London kind of Constantine vibe to him, I will definitely endorse that. I do think he would be a pretty damn good fit for the role. I really can imagine it in my head. Before casting any judgments, like, oh no, you know, Matt Ryan, there will be no one else other than Matt Ryan. To me, like, with all due respect, kind of away with that, and I mean that honestly with the utmost respect, because I really like Matt Ryan as Constantine. I watched the Constantine series he was in. I think, was it on NBC when it first aired? Like, I was watching it as it came out. I followed him all the way into the Arrowverse. But the whole attitude with me and my thoughts on this, to say that no one else can take on the role and refute anything like that, I think it's a disservice to the character. Just like Joker or whoever else, there can always be someone else who could deliver a very, 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 very good performance. So, considering we're getting an HBO Max Constantine series now, I get why people are like, why can't you just give another rerun with Matt Ryan? I totally get that frustration. But, like, given the reality of the situation and how that doesn't seem to be happening, they're going with a bit more of a grounded, you know, lunge at this horror supernatural vibe that's going to connect to this kind of Justice League Dark crossover in the next several years. For now, just assessing the whole Sope Dirisu casting, I have absolutely no issues personally. The only other things I was thinking in my head, but maybe these are a bit like cliche in certain British actors, when the whole announcement came last year that they were looking for a different race for John Constantine, lots of people were fan casting John Boyega. I could have really seen that. Another interesting casting choice that I had in my head was Rahul Kohli. I felt like he would be an amazing, like, he's got that very similar to what I said about Sope Dirisu. He's got that British London vibe to him. But for now, it seems like they're certainly closing in on their casting choice. And let me know if you've seen Sope Dirisu in Gangs of London or anything else, and what you think of this potential casting for HBO Max's Constantine. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few months, or give or take, who knows, that if they officially announce that. Now, the last thing I wanted to touch on is J.J. Abrams. With regards to any apprehension with that, I get it. I really do, because there's a bit of a, you know, J.J. Abrams is clearly like a well-established man in the industry, you know, working on the Star Trek reboot, Star Wars, but then with his, you know, whether you like his work or not, criticism is always valid, in my opinion. I mean, you know, as long as it's actual constructive criticism. And, you know, with regards to whether you agree or disagree with what he's done with Star Wars or Star Trek, there are, as a result, certain apprehensions coming from this kind of major involvement with JJ, you know, executive producing and overseeing certain projects with regards to this Justice League Dark, you know, enterprise that they're going on with, you know, Constantine, Zatanna, and what's going on with that, the Madame X thing. So for now, I guess for me and my comments, I'm just excited still for a HBO Max level, you know, quality to a Constantine series. Obviously, I can't speak to the writing, whether that would be great, but I think the production value will be pretty damn up there. I'm hoping it will be a mature take. We haven't really got proper word on if it's going to be anything R-rated, even though we know from the synopsis that it's going to be, you know, body horror-y, kind of supernatural. But for now, I'm just hoping it works out for the best, despite the heavy bad robot overseeing eyes of, you know, J.J. Abrams' deal with Warner Media. Let me know what you think about this Constantine news. What do you think of the synopsis? What do you think of the casting calls, the much earlier John Constantine vibe they seem to be going for? It makes sense if it's a series and if it's something that they're looking at going for multiple seasons. Let's assume 5 at the minimum, the hopeful projection at least. You know, I get why they would want to start with a young, you know, oh, I'm only just getting into this world of the occult and what's going on here, and oh, a chance encounter with a young girl, and how, like, maybe there's going to be that tragic loss at some point in the season with her getting dragged down to hell. I can see where they're going with that. But do you disagree? Do you feel like it should have started with some kind of adeptness to his warlock aspects already? But who knows? Who knows there? I'm just very passionate about this regardless of how it might actually turn out. That is yet to be seen. I think I've also just been wanting to see a Justice League Dark thing kick off the ground for quite a while now, especially since Swamp Thing, F in the chat for frickin' Swamp Thing. Oh, sorry, I get too annoyed when I think of, like, the production on that show was just great. Why didn't it continue? Well, I kind of know why it didn't continue, but I'm going to shut up now. Like the video, share the video to any fellow Hellblazers out there, do follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I have a Discord server. Links to all of that good stuff is in the description down below. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Hellblazers in the next video. Goodbye.